who go up to 5th, and Man City, who are back up to 2nd, but still some 8 points behind Liverpool.
Pep, well done. He wanted a reaction, I think, to the match of the weekend. And what did you get from your team tonight?
Yeah, we play a good game. We control them, and we didn't concede much, except one action in the first half and the goal in the last minutes. But we play really well the transitions, and we found the players in the positions we thought, and the quality of our players make the difference.
How do you sum up the quality of the goals?
Really good. The first one was an excellent from Gabriel. The second one was a long possession, a transition, and incredible cross and finishing. And Riyad as well, and yeah, all goals were good.
A goal scorer needs to score, of course, and Gabriel hadn't scored for 10 games for club and country, so it was important for him tonight to score.
Of course, we need him. So the strikers are there to score goals, and we need him. And today, we got his effort and commitment, and he's always there. But of course, the strikers like him and Sergio lives from the goal, and it was important.
Next up for Pep, it is the Manchester derby. That's the last game of 3 on Saturday at the Etihad. City against United at 20:30. Richard and Andy here for that. Of course, here be on 11 and also 4K if you have that. Before that, United have to play Tottenham. That means it's the return of Jose. That again is tomorrow night. Thanks to John Barnes, who will be back for that game, as well as the Merseyside derby, Liverpool against Everton. Richard and Andy here too. See you then. We play each other on Saturday. Play tonight, and pretty well and very comfortable against Burnley.
Yes, it was. We wondered whether, well, I thought they would continue that in the second half. It's a question of how Burnley responded in the second half. They responded when they went to 2-0 down to bring Jerry Rodriguez and Ashley Barnes on, but didn't change anything. I thought that would give them more space in midfield, as it did. So they dominated the game, created chances, and it was a comfortable night for them.
Standout team performance by Man City tonight?
Yes, but I think that Burnley made it easy for them because they didn't have the energy or the pace in midfield to get around them. You know, if you're playing against a team who plays the ball through midfield as much as Manchester City do, as much as they had bodies in there, the bodies weren't a physical presence. Made the point that with Aguero now not being even involved, it has actually released Jesus to not be under pressure to either not start or to come off when he plays, because he played with much more freedom, much more confidence, knowing that, well, Aguero isn't there if I'm not doing well to come on. So that could actually work in his favour, the fact that Aguero is going to be out for a while.
Yes. Well, not one, but 2 goals tonight for Jesus. Getting the second one as well.
Yeah, 2 good goals. He'll do his confidence the world of good. He never really had a chance for the hat-trick, but, you know, here once again in tight areas. You know, Manchester City are going to be good in tight areas, and it's a fantastic ball in and a great run across Barkley and a good finish.
But that's all about Man City, that is. That's back to the way we're used to seeing them.
Absolutely. I mean, Burnley made it easy for them because they can't get near them. You can see that they've got lots of bodies there, but they don't close down. They don't stop the cross. The ball comes in. Good.
But that's all about Man City, that is. That's back to the way we're used to seeing them.
Absolutely. I mean, Burnley made it easy for them because they can't get near them. You can see that they've got lots of bodies there, but they don't close down. They don't stop the cross. The ball comes in. Good running across Phil Bardsley, and a difficult finish because you know that could go anywhere. It could go over the bar. He gets a little bit of a push. It's on his wrong foot. It's a fantastic finish.
There are all sorts of decent performances. I mean, just noting that he's 23, Rodri I think 22 in that midfield, and he ends up with the best goal of the night.
Of course, and of course Sterling's still young. You have Phil Foden to come on. Bernardo Silva is not that particularly old either, so they've got the makings of a bright future, and they are a team who can keep their players. But this was a fantastic goal. You don't expect this from Rodri. He's a defensive midfield player, but given an opportunity. I don't know when people talk about why doesn't he do that more often. I remember Didi Hamann coming to Newcastle as a defensive midfield player and scored a goal similar from 30 yards, and you know, you say, well, why don't you do that more often? Because that's not what you're there to do. You know, you're there to be a holding midfield player, and while he can do that more often, he knows his focus, his main threat is to get the ball and pass the ball and defend. So we know he has that quality, but I don't expect he'll do that too often.
But that's De Bruyne-esque, isn't it? We saw that
It is
at the
De Bruyne-esque,
weekend against Newcastle.
but he's not going to be in those positions too often to be able to do that. He's the only holding midfield player they have. So of course, when you have David Silva, De Bruyne, and people like that around you, you know, very rarely will he be here. But as you can see, he's got a technique and a fantastic finish. Great goal.
That's when they say that stays hit.
Goalkeeper gets a bit of a finger
He
to it,
does.
as you can see, but I mean, the power was just too much and he didn't get his hands up quickly enough. As you can't blame him. No goalkeeper in the world would have saved that.
Riyad Mahrez came on in that second half and he bagged one as well.
Yes, they've got great options. You know, for Riyad Mahrez to come off the bench, you can see Phil Foden coming on. And of course, playing as a left-footed player here he comes in and does a good step over as he does, and a good right foot finish. But they're playing with confidence. You know, you can see as he comes in, ball comes to him, he does his favourite step over onto his right foot, and it's a good finish. Goalkeeper is not right in the corner, he wasn't hit particularly well, probably a little bit slow to get down, but they deserved it.
Will there be an element that Pep actually looks at this and goes, I'm really frustrated that we conceded one because we still haven't kept a clean sheet?
Not in the manner they conceded it, because they weren't overrun, they didn't have any, there wasn't bad play by Manchester City, it was just a lucky ricochet. As you can see, it's a ricochet that falls into Robbie Brady's path. They had enough bodies back there. It was just one of those things whereby, okay, the throw-in came in, but they're in a good position. No one's been beaten, and it just unfortunately comes off the left back and falls into Robbie Brady's path. So they weren't outplayed, they weren't cut open. There's not a lot you can do about that. So yes, you don't want to concede a goal, but
especially when there's been very little threat all night.
There is, but of course with ricochets that can happen. That wasn't bad play by them or good play by Burnley against them. It was just one of those things whereby, you know, it happens sometimes.
Phil Foden came on tonight. What would your advice be to Phil Foden?
Well, Phil's 19. He's in and around the England squad. He wants to get into the England squad. Is it a bit too soon for him for the Euros 2020, considering he's not going to be playing regularly for Manchester City even up until the Euros, when you have players like Jack Grealish, James Maddison ahead of him in that position? But he's 19 years old. David Silva is now retiring or leaving Manchester City, so you can see that he can fill one of those positions. It really depends as to who Manchester City signs, which will give him a telltale sign as to whether he's going to be given an extended run in the team. If they don't sign anybody in David Silva's position, he may rightfully think, I have a chance to stake a claim for that position long term. So if he was 21, 22, maybe you would say, well, it's time to move on. But at 19, I think he can give it another year.
Okay. There was one other game in the Premier League tonight, and that was down at Selhurst Park. Two sides who started 11-12 in the night. It was Crystal Palace against Bournemouth, and an early red card for Mamadou Sakho.
Yes, in the first 20 minutes, which was going to make it hard for, and you can see the surprise on his face, he was always going to make it hard for Palace. Over-exuberant, endangering the opposition. It was a full-blooded challenge. It's a ball he had every right to go for. It's a ball he actually won. He cleared it, and his follow-through caught Smith on the knee, which obviously made it look worse than it actually was. He actually, after kicking it, I think he tried to pull out, but his momentum is going to carry him through. Yeah. And we saw the tackle in the game, the Burnley game, Tarkowski, which obviously wasn't given. Bournemouth had their chances, and I think that
Kelly gets a little touch.
He gets a touch on it. Solanke, probably anticipation a little bit more. Kelly gets a bit of a touch on it. Bournemouth huffed and puffed, but Palace defended well. And with 10 men, although you're down to 10 men, when you have Saha and Townsend, you're able to get up the pitch. Here, was it a penalty? Was there contact? There was contact. Was it a bit of a push? Yes, it's a little bit of a push. Was it enough to push him over? He's a bit off balance. That's not a penalty for me, no. Although they did look at it again. Yeah. Here, there's a little bit of a push, but football is a physical game, and it is a contact sport, so that was never a penalty. Jordan Ayew, alone, thorough up front, did really well, close people down, but here, this is the goal when it comes to Jeffrey Schlupp, who does this well.
Goes a long way.
Yeah, and he drives forward well from these positions. I think that the defender really shouldn't have backed off so much to allow him to shoot from maybe 8-9 yards, because it wasn't in the corner, but the power beat the goalkeeper. But had he just held his position and stopped backing off, then he wouldn't have had an opportunity to shoot from such a close distance, and the keeper would have had a better chance. But it's a good run by Schlupp, and Crystal Palace defended well, 10 men for 70 minutes.
70 minutes, yeah.
So, yeah, you can't say they didn't deserve it. They created a few chances as well.
That's James McArthur.
And of course, Palace now go all the way up to 6th, 5th, 6th. So they'll be happy with their night's work, particularly beating Burnley away from home as well on the weekend.
Yeah, back-to-back wins. Good save from Gaeta.
Yeah.
And that's the way it finished. So a terrific win for Roy Hodgson's sides, which catapulted them up to 5th in the table.
Roy, what a wonderful victory. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. It was a great victory. I'm absolutely full of praise for what the players did today to first of all lose your centre-half to a challenge which the referee deems to be a red card, which pushes you down to 10 men, and then shortly afterwards to lose our left-back. And these are the areas, of course, where we didn't have any cover today, because we're already down to, we have 2 centre halves already in the injury room, and then we have another centre half playing right back to cover the right back who's injured. So the last place we could really cover injuries was at the back, but we did, and I thought the players, they showed an outstanding attitude right the way through. And at the end of the day, normally when you win 1-0 with 10 men and under the cosh for long periods, you normally think, well, we were lucky today, we rode our luck, and fortunate they missed so many chances. But that wasn't really the case today, and we had quite a few chances of our own, so I'm delighted for the players.
Eddie, never really happened for you tonight.
No, it didn't. It was a very frustrating game to watch from our perspective. We have to take ultimate responsibility for that today. We should have been better. The sending off seemed to harm us mentally for some reason, and we never stamped home our authority. They defended very well. Give credit to them for that, but we should have been better, and we weren't.
That moment after the sending off was a case of Roy Hodgson getting his side organised, and they kept their shape so well. And at times you needed a bit more belief to try something different against 10 men? Yeah,
we needed a little bit more guile, and we needed a little bit more creativity. It was lacking today. We didn't really have any concerted pressure. Listen, I could stand here and I'm not going to criticise the players. I'm not going to go down that route. I'm going to take responsibility myself. It's not good enough. I need to go away and have a think about what we're doing.
It was another honest answer, another honest interview from Eddie Howe. We also asked him about the news that potentially Arsenal would be interested in talking to him.
Fans will want to know.
That's the way I think they are going to look at me. And in relation to Solskjaer is the guy that tomorrow is going to try to win the game for United fans. So of course they are going to support him, and then they're not going to support me. One thing is a nice reaction, another thing is support. So I think the nice reaction probably is to me, but then during the game the support will be to Solskjaer, and that's the nature of the game and the nature of a place with an incredible history and with fans that understand clearly what the passion for a club is. They love that club, so they love Solskjaer. For you it looks like I left Manchester United yesterday. It was not yesterday, it was 11 or almost 1 year ago. I am Tottenham. And again, if you want to speak about United as an opponent, let's speak about United as an opponent. About my history there, you go to my office upstairs, I have still a couple of pictures but of my United time, and that's it.
There's one moment you want to see tomorrow. It's Jose walking out at Old Trafford from the corner flag all the way down to the benches. That is tomorrow night. Richard and Andy will be here with John Barnes for Manchester United against Spurs. 11. It's on, also on 2, and it's a 10 o'clock start for a 10:30 kickoff. We've seen the other half of Manchester up into second place again. They're only 8 points behind Liverpool now, and Liverpool playing in the derby tomorrow night. But look at Palace with their victory tonight over Bournemouth by 1-0. They're up to 5th place, and it's Burnley who remain in 11th. Tomorrow night, 6 more games for you. Chelsea, Villa, Leicester, Watford, and here on 11 it'll be Manchester United against Tottenham. Jose returning to Old Trafford. Southampton, Norwich, Wolves, West Ham, and the Merseyside derby. Liverpool against Everton. All in the company of Richard Keys, Andy Gray, John Barnes will be back. I will be back on Thursday for Sheffield United against Newcastle and Arsenal against Brighton. Arsenal-Brighton, the later of those two kickoffs at 11:15. Sheffield United and Newcastle kicking off at 10:30 on Thursday night. On Thursday, same night, it's the Arabian Gulf Cup semi-finals. We're down to the last four. Iraq will take on Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, the hosts Qatar. Both those games being played on Thursday night, 1700 the first kickoff, 2000 the second. Only two to for John Barnes as Manchester City get back to winning ways. Two from Jesus and Rodri and Mahrez also on the score sheet, but no clean sheet, but plenty to smile about. Also for Roy Hodgson and Palace, who are up to fifth.